Continuing with Unlimited Power, national bestseller by Tony Robbins, author of Money, Master the Game. We are currently on page 40 of 400 and something. How we create our states and behaviors. Internal representations, what and how we picture in our mind, what and how we say and bear and hear in our mind. Behavior, verbal, say, physical, do, change, skin color, breathing, state. Physiology, posture, biochemistry, nerve energy, breathing, muscular tension, relaxation. For various physiological state, a great muscular tension or extremely tired, or if you're experiencing pain or low blood sugar, you will tend to represent things to yourself in a way that may magnify your negative feelings. Think of it. When you're feeling physically vibrant and totally alive, don't you perceive the world differently than when you're tired or sick? The condition of your physiology literally changes the way you represent and thus experience the world. When you perceive things as being difficult or upsetting, doesn't your body follow suit and become tense? So these two factors, internal representation and physiology, are constantly interacting with each other to create the state we're in. And the state we are in determines the type of behavior we produce. Thus, to control and direct our behaviors, we must control and direct our states. And to control our states, we must control and consciously direct our internal representations and physiologies. Just imagine being able to be 100% in control of your state in any moment in time. Before we can direct our experiences of life, we must first understand how we experience. As humans, receive and represent information about the environment through specialized receptors and sense organs. There are 5 senses: gestation or taste, olfaction or smell, vision or sight, audition or hearing, and kinesthesis or feeling. We make most of the decisions that affect our behavior primarily using only 3 of these senses: the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic systems. The specialized receptors transmit external stimuli to the brain. Through the process of generalization, distortion, and deletion, the brain then takes these and filters them into internal representation. Thus, your internal representation, your experience of the event, isn't precisely what happened, but rather a personalized internal representation. The conscious mind of an individual can't use all the signals being sent to it. You'd probably go stark raving mad if you consciously had to make sense of thousands of stimuli ranging from your left finger to the vibration of your ear. So the brain filters and and stores the information it needs or expects to need later, and allows the conscious mind of the individual to ignore the rest. This filtering process explains the huge range in human perception. 2 people can see the same traffic accident, but give utterly different accounts of it. One may have paid more attention to what he saw, another to what he heard. They saw it from different angles. They both have different physiologies to begin the perception process with in the first place. One may have 20/20 vision, while another may have poor physical resources in general. Perhaps one had been in an accident himself and had a vivid representation already stored. Whatever the case, the 2 will have very different representations of the same event, and they'll go on to store those perceptions and internal representations as new filters through which they will experience things in the future. There's an important concept that's used in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. The map is not the territory. As Alfred Korbisky noted in his Science and Sanity, important characteristics of maps should be noted. A map is not the territory it represents, but if correct, it has a similar structure to the territory, which accounts for its usefulness. The meaning for individuals is that their internal representation is not a precise rendering of an event. is just one interpretation as filtered through specific personal beliefs, attitudes, values, and something called meta-programs. Perhaps this is why Einstein once said, "Whoever undertakes to set himself up as a judge in the field of truth and knowledge is shipwrecked by the laughter of the gods." That's weird, because the gods are demons. Since we don't know how things really are, but only how we represent them to ourselves, we can know how things really are when we study the Sefer. See, these people don't have the Spirit, so they don't know. They don't have the word of Yahuwah. Why not represent them in a way that empowers ourselves and others, like the Torah and the Scriptures, rather than creating limitations, like just man's philosophy, psychology? The key to doing this successfully is memory management. No, it's prayer and reading the Scriptures. The forming of representations that consistently create the most empowering states for an individual, the set-apart breath, the Holy Spirit. In any experience, you have many things, the Ruach HaKodesh. In any experience, you have many things you can focus on. Even the most successful person can think of what isn't working and go into a state of depression or frustration or anger. Or he can focus on all the things that work in his life. Or you can click off the video. No matter how terrible the situation is, you can represent it in a way that empowers you. Successful people, goodbye, are able to gain access to their most resourceful state on a consistent basis. Isn't that the difference between people who succeed and people who don't? Think back to W. Mitchell. It wasn't what happened to him that mattered. It was the way he represented what happened. Despite being terribly burned and then paralyzed, he found a way to put himself in a resourceful state. Remember, nothing is inherently bad or good. I can disprove that. If you rape and murder a little child, is that inherently bad or good? Duh, it's bad. Value is how we represent it to ourselves. We can represent things in a way that puts us in a positive state, or we can do the opposite. Take a moment to think of a time when you have been in a powerful state. That's what we do in the fire walk. If I asked you to put down this book and walk across a bed of hot coals, I doubt you'd get up and do it. It's not something you believe you can do, and you may not have associated resourceful feelings and states with the task. So when I speak of it, you probably would not go into a state that would support you in taking that action. The fire walk teaches people how to change their states and their behaviors in a way that empowers them to take action and produce new results in spite of fear or other limiting factors. People who walk on fire aren't different from the way they were when they came in the door thinking firewalking was impossible. But they've learned how to change their physiology, and they have learned to change their internal representations about what they can or cannot do, so that walking on fire is transformed from something terrifying and something they know to something they know they can do. They now can put themselves in a totally resourceful state, and from that state, they can produce many actions and results you know you're going to click off, and results that in the past they have labeled impossible. The fire walk helps people form a new internal representation of possibility. I was right. If this thing that had seemed so impossible was only a limitation in their mind, then what other impossibilities are really very possible as well? It's one thing to talk about the power of state. It's another to experience it. That's what the fire walk does. It provides a new model for belief and for possibility. And it creates a new internal feeling or state association for people. You know what? I'm not going to be able to read all this. It's too much. I'm already getting bored of it. No one wants to listen to it. So go buy the book, Unlimited Power, The New Science of Personal Achievement, Personal Power, Unlimited Power, national bestseller by Tony Robbins, author of Money, Master the Game. Enjoy. Ta-ta. Shalom.